The impact of our words on our lives is significant. They influence the way we think, act, and ultimately define our world. Speaking to ourselves and others in a positive and encouraging way can propel us towards achievement and contentment, or it can impede us, keeping us mired in a vicious cycle of pessimism and uncertainty. We can change the way we talk to ourselves and the world around us by practicing mindfulness in our words. There is a profound relationship between words and reality, not only optimistic thinking. Pioneer in this subject, Florence Scovel Shinn, skillfully illustrated how our words mirror our ideas and how we might unlock the possibility for a better, more empowered life by intentionally choosing the things we use. We have the ability to bring about the beneficial changes we've always wanted through purposeful and careful speaking. Let's investigate how the words we select can act as a trigger for the kind of life we wish to lead. Chapter 1. Trust in the Unseen. There are forces at work in the universe that you cannot fathom, pathways and channels of energy that lie beyond your comprehension. These forces are mysterious, just as the ways of the divine are mysterious. The problem with most people is that they want to understand these forces beforehand. They try to dictate to the infinite intelligence how their prayers should be answered, doubting the wisdom and creativity of God. In doing so, they limit the boundless potential of the divine, trying to confine it within the narrow bounds of their human understanding. Jesus taught us that when we pray, we must believe with childlike certainty that we will receive what we ask for. What could be simpler or more profound? To enter the kingdom of heaven, one must approach with the pure expectation of a child. Picture a child eagerly awaiting a gift, a drum, perhaps, on Christmas morning. The child doesn't stay up all night fretting over whether the gift will arrive. No, the child sleeps soundly, knowing in their heart that when morning comes, the gift will be there, waiting. This joyful expectation is what we are called to emulate. Yet as adults, we often find ourselves agonizing over our desires, be it wealth, health, or happiness. We toss and turn, trying to figure out how our desires can possibly manifest, plagued by doubts and fears. Even as we profess faith in the divine, we often wish to know the exact hows and whens, clinging to a need for control that only serves to limit the boundless ways in which the divine operates. But the truth is, the divine possesses methods and means that are beyond our understanding. Trust in this and surrender your concerns to the higher power that knows no bounds. To trust in the Lord is to walk the path of intuition, the magical straight path to your heart's desires. Intuition is a spiritual faculty, higher than reason, a still small voice within that says, "This is the way, walk in it." I speak of intuition often because it is the most crucial aspect of spiritual development. It is the divine guidance within you, the ever-watchful eye that neither slumbers nor sleeps. To recognize this guidance in all your ways is to see your path made clear. Do not despise the small beginnings or the seemingly insignificant events of life, for it is through these that the divine often works its wonders. For those who have lived by reason, the sudden call to follow intuition can be daunting. People with rigid routines and habits find it difficult to step into the flow of divine guidance. But we have the power to choose the magical path of intuition or the long, arduous road of experience guided by mere reason. Following the superconscious is how we ascend to great heights. Within intuition lies the blueprint of eternal youth, eternal life, a state where even death is overcome. We can impress upon our subconscious the image of eternal youth and infinite life, and as a faithful servant, the subconscious will bring this image to fruition. This transformation is real and attainable, as seen in the symbolic world of art and literature, where the idea of a perfect eternal body and a life without end is often portrayed. There exists a divine prototype for your life, a perfect idea residing in your superconscious mind. Most people live far from this ideal, having instead impressed upon their subconscious the contrary images of disease, aging, and death. The time has come to issue a new command. Let the divine idea now manifest in my mind, body, and affairs. Repeat this affirmation, and you will be amazed at the changes that soon follow. New ideas will flood your mind, Your body will undergo a chemical transformation, and your surroundings will shift for the better as you rapidly align with the divine plan, where all conditions are permanently perfect. The divine idea often reveals itself in your consciousness as something so wonderful it seems unreal. Few people ever fulfill their true destiny, the place they are meant to occupy, equipped for every situation. If we could grasp this truth, doors would open and channels would clear. We would feel the divine energy at work in our lives, and opportunities would arise from the most unexpected places. The divine would operate through all our affairs, bringing the perfect idea to full realization. God is love, but God is also law. To love God is to follow His commandments, to align with His laws. This alignment is what brings true success. Concentration is key, as Emerson wrote. When we focus our loving attention on something, we engage fully with it, much like a child absorbed in play. Success comes naturally when we pursue what truly interests us, just as great inventors find joy in their work, never growing weary. The first step to success is to delight in being yourself. Many people are bored with themselves, lack confidence, and always wish to be someone else. But the key to expansion and fulfillment lies in embracing who you are and then growing into the divine plan for your life. You can be sure that this plan will bring perfect satisfaction, eliminating all envy and comparison. Patience and perseverance are vital. Like a racehorse finding its stride, once you align with your spiritual rhythm, success will follow swiftly. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. To delight in the law is to enjoy the process of manifestation, to trust the divine, and to follow your intuitive leads with joy. Life is a game, and like any game, it should be enjoyed. While golf or tennis has visible goals and tangible results, the game of life deals with invisible forces and higher stakes, the realization of the divine plan for your existence, where all conditions are permanently perfect. Recognize the divine in all your ways, and your paths will be made straight. Every moment connected with intuition provides a clear direction. Many live complicated lives because they overthink instead of intuiting the solution. When reason enters, intuition often flies out the window. However, intuition, being a spiritual faculty, does not need to explain itself. It simply knows. Trust in the spiritual law, and it will provide. Your role is to be a good receiver, prepared for the blessings that await. Rejoice, give thanks, and watch as the unseen forces work in your favor. The divine has weapons you do not know, paths that will astonish you, and methods that will surely bring your desires to pass. Trust in the mystery, and let the magic unfold. Chapter 2. How Faith Connects You to Infinite Power. The divine gift bestowed upon humanity is the gift of power, dominion over all creation, over one's mind, body, and circumstances. Every trace of unhappiness stems from a perceived lack of this power. When people feel defeated, they often blame external forces beyond their control, believing themselves to be victims of circumstance. Alone, one might indeed be overwhelmed, but when united with the divine power, everything becomes possible. Through the understanding of spiritual truths, we learn to tap into this power. With our words, we connect to this divine force, and miracles follow, burdens lift, and battles are won. The power of life and death is held in the tongue, so one must guard their words vigilantly, for we continuously harvest the fruits of our speech. Victory, as taught, is not merely overcoming external obstacles, but mastering the internal ones, doubt, fear, and negative vibrations. A person who possesses perfect peace and unwavering stability, filled with love and goodwill, can dissolve all negativity, just as the sun melts away the snow. The power of the divine is within you. It is your superconscious mind, the realm of inspiration, revelation, and miracles. When you align with this power, swift and seemingly impossible changes occur for your benefit. Paths open where there are none, and provision appears from hidden and unexpected sources, because divine power works in ways beyond our comprehension. To work with this power, you must quiet the reasoning mind and allow the divine to lead. The moment you ask, the infinite intelligence knows the way to fulfill your needs. Your role is to rejoice, give thanks, and act with faith. One woman, in her yearning for divine manifestation, was guided by these words: "Act as if I am, and I am." This is the essence of faith in action, for it is only through active faith that the subconscious is impressed, leading to tangible results. Consider a woman who longed for a loving marriage and a happy home. She cared deeply for a man who, despite her devotion, withdrew from her life, leaving her disheartened. She was advised to prepare for her happy home as if it were already hers, buying small items for the household, even when all appearances suggested otherwise. She also worked on becoming immune to resentment and unhappiness, affirming, "I am immune to all pain and resentment. My stability is built upon the rock, the Christ within." Once she achieved this emotional immunity, the man returned, filled with regret for his actions, and they eventually married, manifesting the happy home she had envisioned. The enemies of this woman were her own pain and resentment. Like serpents and scorpions, they threatened to destroy her happiness. But united with divine power, all opposition vanished. To live free from all unhappy experiences means to be in constant conscious contact with this power. The Bible frequently mentions power because it is through this divine strength that all blessings flow. Those with a rich consciousness attract wealth, while those with a consciousness of lack attract only misery. By linking with the divine within and not relying on external conditions, people can rise above limitation, knowing that the supreme intelligence always knows the path to fulfillment. When you fix your mind on the truth that there is only one power, God's power, all appearances of evil dissolve. Evil exists only in the vain imaginings of man. Remove the power you give to evil, and it loses its ability to harm. An example of this principle in action occurred when a woman spilled something on her dress, convinced it would leave a stain. Instead, they treated it with the affirmation that evil is unreal and leaves no stain. After some time, the stain had vanished. What is true for small things is also true for larger issues. Under the grace of divine power, all adverse effects can disappear without a trace. Many people rely on personal power, which often leads to unhappy outcomes. True power, the power of God, does not force or impose, but allows all things to fall into their proper place. For instance, a woman once insisted that her husband, an artist known for his humor and lightheartedness, should immerse himself in the classics. Despite his initial reluctance, he eventually did, but this caused his personality to change entirely, leading to discord in their lives. This experience taught her never to try and change others, but to focus on changing herself. As she changed, the conditions around her changed naturally. Your life is a reflection of your subconscious beliefs, and wherever you go, these beliefs shape your experiences. A person with a consciousness of strength in the Lord and the power of his might is backed by an innumerable host of power. Power signifies mastery, and mastery means control. A man gains control over conditions through understanding spiritual law. Suppose you face a lack or limitation, and your urgent need is for supply. Connect with this divine power within and give thanks for the immediate provision. If you find yourself too close to the situation, filled with doubts and fears, seek help from someone who can see clearly for you. The power of agreement, as Christ taught, ensures that when two people agree on something, it will come to pass. Even if you don't see clearly yourself, trust that the power of God is the only power, and His plan is the only plan. We cannot take blessings from infinite intelligence. They must be given. Our role is to be grateful receivers, knowing that the divine plan is perfect and all things are working for our good. The power of God gives us dominion over all creation, over every situation, and with this understanding, all conditions in life can be mastered. This invincible power is available to everyone, and whoever calls upon it will be delivered. The word, spoken in faith, links humanity with omnipotence, capable of lifting every burden and winning every battle. All power is given to bring heaven to earth, and it is through understanding and aligning with this power that we bring our desires into reality. Chapter 3. Overcoming Fear. You must cultivate unwavering strength and banish fear, for fear is the only true enemy of humanity. Every time fear grips you, whether it's fear of lack, failure, loss, or criticism, you face defeat because you have severed your connection to the boundless source of power. Fear is a misplaced form of faith, a negative faith that draws to you the very things you dread. The story of Daniel in the lion's den teaches us that when you place your trust in a higher power, even the fiercest challenges become powerless. Daniel knew that his God was stronger than any lion, and so the lions became as harmless as kittens. Many people spend their lives running from their own personal lions, those fears that torment them and rob them of peace. But just as the lion's roar loses its power when you face it head-on, so too will your fears dissolve when confronted with faith and courage. Worry and fear are closely related, and one cannot exist without the other. When you let go of fear, the worry that has haunted you will also disappear. Fear of losing something is one of the most prevalent anxieties. Even though you might have everything you could possibly want in life, the nagging worry that it won't last might keep you from feeling at ease. This fear is prepared to attack your happiness, akin to a snarling lion. However, your words are so powerful that they can change even the most vicious lion into a kind kitten, much like a magic wand. It's important to maintain your ground and use strong language, since you possess a divine force that can overcome any challenge. Recall Moses' advice to his people when you're feeling scared. Do not be afraid. Remain steadfast and witness the rescue the Lord will provide for you this day. Every challenge is overcome by the limitless intellect that rules the universe. It is up to you to have faith, maintain composure, and let this higher force lead the way. Many people avoid uncomfortable circumstances rather than face them because they live in dread of other people. But you won't need to be afraid when you genuinely comprehend that the divine is your salvation and illumination. Your greatest enemies are not external but within you, your doubts, fears, and negative thoughts. Every negative circumstance in your life is a reflection of these inner enemies, and they cannot withstand the light of truth. Face your fears with confidence, affirming, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" This inner strength, combined with the wisdom of the divine, will help you overcome any challenge. Jesus, the greatest teacher of spiritual law, showed us how to command our reality through the power of thought and word. To conquer your fears, you must be wiser than your negative thoughts. Whenever a fearful thought arises, counter it with a powerful affirmation of truth. For example, if you are faced with financial difficulties, affirm, "My supply comes from God, and it manifests now in abundance." Persist in these affirmations, and eventually you will see the truth prevail. Though the pessimistic thoughts may resurface from time to time in an attempt to deplete you, maintain your faith. Instead of giving in to fear, remember that you are supported and sustained by the Almighty. These anxious thoughts will eventually become less powerful as a result of your neglect. Recall that a lion's roar can only be as loud as your heart palpates. It gets its strength from your terror. You too will hear the murmur of angels guiding and guarding you if you remain motionless, like Daniel did in the lion's cave. According to what Jesus taught, the goal of spiritual enlightenment is to free people from the delusion of loss, fear, and need. Adam and Eve's story serves as an example of how humanity descended into dualism and began to regard good and evil as distinct entities. A life of struggle and adversity resulted from this fall, which created a sense of separation from the divine. However, Jesus' teaching called for a return to Eden, a higher consciousness where all wants are satisfied and fear has no place. In this state, you become one with the all-powerful divine force and take control of your reality. In the 14th chapter of John, we find the essence of all of Christ's teachings, encapsulated in what he called the gospel, the good news. With a simplicity and directness that could stir even the most hardened heart, he told the people that whatever they asked for in faith and belief, they would receive, always attributing the power to the Father within. God, as the supreme intelligence, is the source of all that humanity desires or needs. This profound truth was meant to awaken people from their spiritual slumber, and Christ demonstrated its power through miracles and wonders. One of the most striking miracles was the healing of the man born blind. When questioned by Jesus' opponents, the man had a simple yet powerful response. "Once I was blind, but now I see." This statement holds a deeper meaning, one that we can all relate to. Perhaps you were once blind to your own good, to the opportunities around you, to the gentle nudges of intuition. Perhaps you were confused by appearances, mistaking friends for enemies. But when you awaken to your true good, you realize that there are no enemies, for God uses every person and situation for your benefit. Obstacles become stepping stones, and with God on your side, you become invincible. This is a truth of immense power. The invincible power of God sweeps away all that stands in its path. Like a ship riding the waves toward its promised land, you are carried forward, free from the undertow of negative thoughts that would drag you down. Your persistent thoughts and deepest desires are like seeds planted in your mind, alive and growing, guided by a powerful law that, when understood and trusted, leads to great and beautiful outcomes. But this law, like any force, can either lead you to joy or misery depending on how it is followed. When guided by a clear vision, it brings increasing happiness. When followed blindly, it leads to dissatisfaction. Desire is a tremendous vibratory force and must be properly directed. When you align your desires with the infinite intelligence that knows your true purpose, you claim what is yours by divine right and receive it with grace and in perfect ways. Misaligned desires, born out of impatience or frustration, often bring about delayed or even painful results. Consider the story of a woman who, out of sheer exhaustion, wished she could spend her evenings at home reading instead of accompanying her husband out every night. Her desire was so intense that it eventually manifested in her husband leaving her for another woman. She got her wish, time alone to read, but at the cost of her marriage. This story illustrates the importance of aligning your desires with a higher purpose and being careful about what you wish for. Success in any endeavor requires a persistent focus, but it should never feel like hard work. The true masters of any art, craft, or profession keep their goals in mind and approach their work with a sense of play and enjoyment. Hard work, when it feels burdensome, signals that we are no longer advancing. A group of artists known as the Eight exemplified this truth. They became highly successful, not through rigorous toil, but by painting and drawing for the sheer joy of it. Their work was an expression of their true selves, and they succeeded because they never lost sight of the fun in what they did. The phrase, "Once I was blind, but now I see," is a powerful affirmation of spiritual awakening. It is the moment when you see clearly the divine plan for your life, recognizing that God's power is the only true power, and that His plan is the only plan worth following. The world around you may cling to a belief in insecurity, but you must awaken to the truth that God is your eternal security in all aspects of life. When you are fully awake to your good, fear and worry have no hold on you. In this awakened state, lack, loss, and failure vanish, for they are nothing more than vain imaginings. Here is a real-life example of how this principle works. Several years ago, while in London, I purchased a remarkable fountain pen crafted in Japan, which came with a 30-year guarantee. Every summer, like clockwork, I would receive a letter from the manufacturer asking how the pen was performing. It was a delightful surprise and made me feel truly cared for. However, one day I lost the pen. Refusing to accept the loss, I affirmed, "There is no loss in the divine mind, and therefore I cannot lose this pen. It will be returned to me, or I will receive its equivalent." Though it seemed impossible to find a replacement in New York City, I held firm in my divine confidence. One day, as I was riding a bus down Fifth Avenue, I happened to glance at a sign that caught my eye: Oriental Craft Shop. Something urged me to get off the bus and go inside. To my amazement, the shop had a full stock of the very pens I had lost, and they were on sale. I bought 3 of them and shared the story at one of my meetings, prompting others to rush to the store before the pens sold out. This was a clear demonstration of the law at work, for I was fully awake to my good and did not allow any negative thoughts to take root. As students of spiritual truth, we must apply these principles in our daily lives, recognizing the divine in all our paths. Christ had profound faith in humanity, seeing us as beings made in the image of God, with the power to create and manifest our reality. He urged us to seek the kingdom, the realm of perfect ideas, where all things would be added unto us. He awakened people to the truth that there is nothing to fear, for no power exists that can harm us. The path of abundance lies clearly before us when we are awake to it, free from obstacles, for all creation is under our dominion, as the psalmist declares. Chapter 4. Harnessing the Power of Spiritual Vibration. The definition of glory, according to the dictionary, is brilliance, radiance, or light that glows beyond comprehension. I have witnessed the Lord's radiance, which is the law's actualization. Since God is the principle, the highest power, and the intelligence that is inside us, we are unable to see God. Nevertheless, humans are able to observe signs of God's existence. Test me, declares the Most High, and see if I will not open the windows of heaven and pour out such a blessing that there will not be room enough to receive it. By using this power and putting our faith in it to complete the task, we put God to the test. Each time we get what we want, it's because we've put God to the test. It's possible that you asked the wrong question, or that your prayers were not in alignment if your heart's desires have not come true. Your aim is reflected in the response you get. Impatient aspirations are either postponed or satisfied with turbulence, while dejected hopes are greeted with dejected consequences. Consider a person, frustrated by scarcity, living in humble surroundings, longing with all their heart to reside in a grand home, surrounded by beauty. In time, they may find themselves in such a house, but as a caretaker, not a resident. They are surrounded by the luxury they desire but have no claim to it. This thought crossed my mind as I passed by Andrew Carnegie's mansion on Fifth Avenue, a place once alive with splendor, but now shuttered and lifeless. The sole sign of life was a single open window in the basement, where the caretaker resided, a somber image indeed. So, ask and desire with praise and gratitude, and you will witness the glory of the law in action. Life itself is vibration. We harmonize with that which we perceive, or we attract that which resonates with our current state. If your heart vibrates with resentment and injustice, you will encounter these forces at every turn, believing the world to be harsh and unkind. Thousands of years ago, Hermes Trismegistus taught that to change your state of mind, you must change your vibrations. I take this further. To change your world, you must alter your vibrational state. Shift the current in your mental battery, and your reality will shift accordingly. Perhaps you feel unappreciated, constantly telling yourself that others fail to recognize your worth. Instead, affirm, God appreciates me, and therefore, people appreciate me. I appreciate myself. Immediately, you will find acknowledgement in your external world. You are a master builder, and your tools are your words. Ensure that you are constructing according to the divine plan. As Judge Troward stated, man is the distributor of divine power. He does not create this force. We are stepping into an era of understanding. No longer do we hold a peasant's blind faith, but rather a faith born of comprehension. As Solomon said, with all thy getting, get understanding. Understanding the workings of spiritual law so we may direct this inner power constructively. The law of all laws is to do unto others, as you would have them do unto you, for what you send out returns to you, and what you do to others will be done to you. Critical people often find themselves the subject of criticism, for they live in that vibration. Similarly, they may suffer physically, as negative thoughts can manifest in the body, causing ailments. I once read about a woman who developed boils every time her mother-in-law visited. She was literally boiling with suppressed anger. Skin problems often indicate that someone has gotten under your skin, irritated, or angered you. This is a reminder that man directs the power of God through his thoughts and vibrations. All things are under his command, from the beasts of the field to the birds of the sky, from the winds to the waves. We should be able to rebuke the storm, end the drought, and halt the floods. I read that in a drought-stricken area, people were asked to stop singing, "It's not going to rain anymore," recognizing the power of negative words. We have been given power and dominion over all things created. When we achieve a manifestation, we are demonstrating our power and dominion. We must elevate our consciousness so that the King of Glory may enter. When we read, "If thine eye is single, thy whole body shall be full of light," it suggests an inner radiance, a light that dispels all that is not divinely ordained. The single eye sees only good, unperturbed by the appearance of evil. As Jesus said, "Judge not by appearances, but judge righteous judgment." There exists a hidden law of indifference, a profound principle that states, "None of these things move me." Personal ambition and ego lead to defeat and failure, for unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain. The imagination is a creative faculty, and your images of fear will appear in the outer world, the result of your own distorted vision. The single eye sees only truth, and through that truth, good emerges from evil. It disarms apparent enemies by sending them goodwill and is supported by innumerable hosts of power. Now is the appointed time. Today is the day of your salvation. Living in the past, trying to recapture what is lost, only leads to disappointment. I saw a film recently that portrayed the futility of such efforts. In Life Goes On, a woman yearning to relive the joy of her youth finds only disillusionment as she reconnects with those from her past. The dream she clung to was an illusion, and she could not bring back what was gone. Jesus, the greatest of all teachers, emphasized the importance of living in the present. Now is the accepted time. Today you will be with me in paradise. Worry and fear are thieves of time. The hidden law of indifference is one of the deepest, for it achieves a state of consciousness where the outer world of sensations has no power over the mind, allowing it to align fully with the divine. Most people's lives are a series of disturbances, lacks, losses, and limitations. If a man judges by appearances, he finds himself in an arena, facing the lions of scarcity and limitation. If your inner eye is clouded by fear, your whole body will be full of darkness. But if your eye is single, seeing only one power, one plan, one planner, your body and affairs will be filled with light. Imagine yourself daily bathed in the light of Christ. This inner radiance is an invincible power, dissolving all that is not divinely planned. Illness, lack, loss, limitation. It disarms adverse conditions, rendering them powerless. We always have this light at our command when our eye is single. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. As a Chinese proverb says, "The philosopher leaves the hem of his robe to the tailor," so too should we leave the plan of our lives to the divine planner, finding all conditions permanently perfect. Chapter 5. The Spiritual Laws of Abundance. Peace within your walls and prosperity within your palaces. This powerful affirmation from Psalm 122 reveals a profound truth. Peace and prosperity are inseparably linked. Those who live in a state of lack often dwell in fear and confusion, blind to their blessings and missing opportunities. But a peaceful person is awake, seeing clearly and acting swiftly, never letting opportunities slip by. I've witnessed people change dramatically, transforming from despair to joy. Let me share a story that illustrates the power of this law. A woman once came to me in deep sorrow. Her eyes were clouded with tears, her face gaunt and pale. The man she loved had left her, and she was utterly demagnetized, drained of vitality. As an artist, I tend to see people through a creative lens, and when I looked at her, I saw the delicate beauty of a Botticelli painting, though it was hidden beneath her grief. I spoke words of peace to her and gave her a copy of my book, The Game of Life and How to Play It. A couple of weeks later, a radiant woman entered my office, her eyes shining, her demeanor joyful. It took me a moment to realize she was the same woman, now transformed. The peace she had found restored her beauty and light. Peace within your walls. These walls represent your consciousness. Jesus Christ emphasized peace and rest when he said, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." He was speaking of the Christ within, the superconscious mind, where no burdens or battles exist. Doubts, fears, and negative images reside in the subconscious. I recall a flight I took some years ago, soaring high above the earth, feeling a profound sense of detachment. At such heights, we are at peace with ourselves and the world. In these heights, the fields are always ripe for harvest. Only emotions can prevent you from reaping your harvest of success, happiness, and abundance. The Bible promises, "I will restore the years the locusts have eaten." We might paraphrase this as, "I will restore the years that emotions have ruined." People are often shaken by doubts and fears that bring about failure, unhappiness, and ill health. I read in a newspaper that the laws of the mind are becoming widely recognized. It's been discovered that the fear of failure is the greatest of all fears, affecting at least 75% of those examined psychologically. This fear could relate to health, business, finances, love, success, anything. Other major fears include fear of the dark, fear of being alone, and fear of animals. Some people fear being misunderstood, while others fear losing their mental control. Constant ongoing fear disrupts the glands, interferes with digestion, and is often accompanied by distressing nervous symptoms. It steals the health of the body and destroys happiness. Fear is man's greatest enemy because it attracts what one fears. It's faith in reverse, faith in evil instead of good. Why are you afraid, O ye of little faith? A mind free from fear and limitation attracts all good things. Whatever you desire or require is already on its way. Before they call, I will answer. Suppose we rephrase the scriptures. Whatever you desire or require is already planted on your path. A new word or idea can suddenly bring clarity. If you need information, it will be provided. A friend of mine once shared a remarkable story about how the law works. She was translating an ancient Italian manuscript about the life of an old Persian ruler, a topic with no existing English books. She wondered why publishers were delaying its release. One night, she was dining at an automat and struck up a conversation with a man at the same table. She told him about her work and the translation of the ancient manuscript. Suddenly he said, "It's going to be hard to get it published because the ideas of that Persian ruler clash with the current government." He was a student and scholar and knew more about the subject than she did. Her question was answered in a casual conversation, something that usually would have required deep research in public archives. God works wonders in unexpected places. She had been worried, but when she was calm, happy, and carefree, the information flowed easily. Our feet shall stand within thy gates, O Jerusalem. Jerusalem symbolizes peace, and feet represent understanding. Understanding always leads to peace. How can a person find peace when their life is a whirlwind? By affirming peace. You can't always control your thoughts, but you can control your words, and eventually the words will win. Most people have attracted discordant conditions by fighting their battles and carrying their burdens. We must learn to step aside so that God can harmonize or adjust the situation. The word harmonize is powerful because I have seen crooked places made straight and adjustments made that no human mind could have conceived. All that the kingdom offers is yours if you give the infinite intelligence the right of way, for it has already provided abundant supply for every demand made. But you must trust it completely. If you doubt or fear, you lose contact with this supreme force. So if you are filled with doubts and fears, you must act to show your faith. Faith without works or action is dead. Active faith impresses the subconscious with expectation and maintains your connection with universal intelligence. Just as Wall Street monitors the market, we must monitor our market of faith. Sometimes the faith market dips, and if it dips too low, a crash, an unfortunate situation that could have been avoided, occurs. We realize that we followed reason instead of intuition. A woman once told me how she received several clear signals not to take a certain path, but she followed reason instead, leading to great unhappiness. Intuition is our infallible guide. Practice following it in small things and you'll trust it in the big ones. I have a friend who is highly intuitive. Sometimes she calls me and says, "I had a hunch to call you, so I thought I'd check in and see what's up." Inevitably, I have a mission for her. We live magical lives, guided, protected, and provided for. All fear would be banished forever if we understood this marvelous system that the universe has set up for us. We would be unmoved by appearances, knowing, as the ancient Hebrews did, that Jehovah goes before us and every battle is already won. A friend once shared a fascinating story with me. A man in the paper business handed out 1,000 copies of my books to his employees. He started his business with a small amount of capital and gave up cold logic and reasoning, building a $12 million enterprise by following hunches and intuition. All his workers understand the metaphysical laws. Another man who built his business on the law of giving and receiving achieved the same incredible success. He arrived in Philadelphia with little money and bought an old magazine. His desire was to give people a lot for very little money. He believed in the law of giving, and his magazine became one of the most popular, offering the public the best in stories and illustrations and paying well for them. The more he gave, the more he received. Millions poured in. May there be peace within your walls and prosperity within your palaces. Peace and prosperity go hand in hand. Great peace have they who love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. This law is the law of non-resistance. Do not resist evil, overcome evil with good. Transmute all failure into success, lack into abundance, and discord into peace. Chapter 6. The Power Within Your Words. Your words are the most potent weapon you have. They are the final arbiter of your existence. Jesus Christ said that on the day of judgment, every unproductive word we say would be held accountable. However, judgment occurs every day at every minute. It is not saved for the end of the world. When you reflect on your life, you will realize how the words you have spoken have influenced events that have either resulted in success or failure. The subconscious mind does not get jokes. It interprets everything literally. When people make negative jokes about themselves, the subconscious takes that as true and uses those words to construct the outside world. Your subconscious is greatly impacted by the pictures you paint with words, and it will do all in its power to bring those pictures to reality. People who are aware of the power of words use caution when speaking because they are aware that words never go unnoticed. They always have an effect. The worst mistakes often occur when we speak in anger or resentment, unleashing a force that begins to attract the very things we wish to avoid. Words have a vibratory power that can either bring us closer to our desires or push them away. People who constantly talk about illness, for example, often find themselves surrounded by it as they attract what they focus on. We are always moving the threads of our destiny, even if we are unaware of it. The Bible tells us that life and death are in the power of the tongue, yet many people speak destructively from dawn until dusk, criticizing, condemning, and complaining. This habit only multiplies their troubles and isolates them from others. Now that we understand the power of words, why not use them to our advantage? Just as we harness the power of technology, we must also harness the power of our speech. The emerging union of science and spirituality is revealing that thoughts and words hold immense power, akin to dynamite. Consider the impact of words in healing. A single spoken word can trigger a chemical change in the body. A friend of mine was gravely ill, and despite medical care, her condition didn't improve. She finally reached out to me, desperate for relief, and asked me to speak a word of healing. Through the power of spoken truth, her condition began to change almost immediately. She followed her divine guidance, which led her to wellness, and soon she was back to her normal life. This shows that the spoken word can set in motion powerful healing forces, making real what we once thought impossible. The energy within us is boundless, and it is released through goodwill. A person free from fear and unmoved by appearances, who sends out waves of goodwill, can dissolve mountains of hate and conflict. Resentment and intolerance drain us of our power, and we must be vigilant in directing our thoughts and words for healing, blessing, and prosperity. Words are like seeds, carrying within them the potential for immense power. But this power is silent. It doesn't need to make a sound to be effective. Goodwill, spoken with intention, can sweep away all obstacles from your path, making way for your deepest desires to manifest. What belongs to you? Everything that the universe offers is yours, but you must believe it to receive it. There are thousands of promises in the Bible, but these gifts can only come to us if we can believe they are possible. All of life is vibration. Feel wealthy, and you will attract wealth. Feel successful, and success will follow you. I once knew a boy who was born in a small rural town with no apparent advantages, but he always felt successful and had an unshakable conviction that he would one day become a great artist. No one could discourage him because he embodied success in his thoughts and radiated it to everyone around him. He left his small town at a young age, moved to a big city, and quickly became a successful artist without any formal training. This success came to him because he always envisioned it. The Bible tells us that we can have all the land we can see. This metaphysical truth speaks to us even now. What are you seeing with your inner eye? What images are you inviting into your life? The imagination has been called the scissors of the mind. If you have thoughts of failure, replace them with thoughts of success. This may seem simple, but when negative thoughts have become habitual, it takes constant vigilance to uproot them. When in doubt, take hold of a powerful affirmation: I look with wonder at what is before me. This creates an expectation of something marvelous, and it will draw something marvelous into your life. Cultivate the feeling that miracles and wonders are just around the corner, and you will find yourself living in the midst of them. Most individuals live their lives feeling limited, as though their greatest aspirations are unrealized pipe fantasies. They live in an illusionary condition known as Adamic sleep, where they view the world negatively and dully. People view poverty, failure, and adversity as natural, even normal. But there's another world for you, the spiritually enlightened person. You understand that the endless riches of the universe are a part of your true essence, which is divine. You are aware that nothing is insurmountable. You have such enormous influence over the words you speak, both out loud and in your head. They are the ones who designed your world. Through their words, those who are still mired in Adamic sleep unintentionally bring more negativity into their lives. They feed the cycle of constraint and shortage by expressing fear, complaining, and dwelling on sickness. You are capable of liberating yourself. You have the option to express thankfulness, affluence, and steadfast faith. Knowing that the universe is already working to fulfill your dreams, you may visualize them clearly. Refrain from allowing negativity or hardship to overcome you. Reaffirm your personal well-being, keep your inner peace, and offer pleasant vibes to everyone concerned. Your uplifting words and ideas form a strong barrier that transforms negativity into harmony. Develop a profound sense of thankfulness. Give thanks for every day that comes, and for all of the opportunities that lie ahead. Refuse to be influenced by appearances or brief failures. Have complete faith that all of your desires are already on their way to you. You will see a profound shift as you continually connect your words and ideas with your highest good. An exciting new world full of plenty, joy, and deep contentment will take the place of old, constricting habits. Never forget that you have the ability to bring your aspirations to life. Pick your words wisely, and then observe how the universe responds with a symphony of wonders. Chapter 7. Beyond Worry and Want. Throughout the Bible, we're reminded to let go of anxiety and fear, and to resist the urge to hoard and stockpile. An invisible, invincible power stands ready to provide for our every need, but only if we truly believe. This power of God, capable of making all things possible, can be challenging for us to grasp. We've been conditioned to believe only what we can see, and to rely solely on the external world. We've forgotten that every event has a cause, and that we ourselves set in motion the machinery that creates both good and bad in our lives. Our words and thoughts are like dynamite, capable of tremendous impact, yet often handled carelessly. We spew negativity into the ether and then wonder why life feels so difficult. What if we experimented with faith instead? What if we trusted in this unseen power and, as the Bible suggests, presented our requests to God with prayer and thanksgiving rather than worry? Anxiety and lack are habits, deeply ingrained patterns of thought, clinging to our subconscious like barnacles on a ship. But just as a ship enters dry dock for cleaning, we too can undergo a mental overhaul. Consider the story of a woman who had lived her entire life in fear, especially around money. She was constantly worried about finances. But then she had a profound realization. She saw how she had limited herself and made a dramatic shift toward faith. She began trusting in God, not external circumstances, for her provision. She followed her intuition about spending. If any of her clothes made her feel poor, she discarded them and bought something new that made her feel abundant. Despite having little money, she tithed, giving a portion to good causes. She was enveloping herself in a new vibration. Soon, her external world began to change. A woman she barely knew, an old family friend, left her $1,000. A few months later, another 1,000 arrived. Then a significant door opened for her, and thousands more flowed in. She had tapped into her invisible supply, the bank of the universe. She had looked solely to God for her provision, and the channels opened wide. The crucial point is that she had released all anxiety about money. She had established a firm conviction in her subconscious that her supply came from God, and it never failed her. We are instruments for infinite intelligence to work through, expressing itself as success, happiness, abundance, health, and perfect self-expression. But fear and anxiety can short-circuit this flow. For examples of fearless faith, look no further than the circus. Acrobats perform seemingly impossible feats because they believe they can, and they visualize themselves doing it. Faith means seeing yourself receiving all that you desire. You can never do something you can't see yourself doing, or fill a space you can't see yourself filling. Visualization is a mental process, but it can lead to extraordinary results. True manifestation, however, is a spiritual realization, a feeling of already being there, of vibrating at the frequency of your desires. Consider the story of a champion football player, the best all-around athlete in the world, who did all his training in a hammock. One day, his coach approached him with tears in his eyes, pleading with him to get up and do something for his country. The athlete simply opened one eye and replied, "I was just thinking about that. I was going to send for you." He instructed the coach to mark off 25 feet on the ground. Then he closed his eyes and relaxed in the hammock for several minutes. Finally, he opened his eyes, looked at the marks, and closed them again. The coach, exasperated, asked what he was doing. The athlete replied, "I'm practicing the broad jump." He did all his training in a hammock, visualizing himself performing the jump. Without vision, we perish in lack and limitation. We can work hard in the external world and achieve nothing if we lack vision. Vision means seeing clearly where you're going and keeping your eye on the goal. All who have accomplished great things have done this. James J. Hill, the visionary behind the Great Northern Railway, claimed that before laying a single track, he could hear the roar of trains and the whistle of locomotives in his mind's ear. He faced countless obstacles, but his vision was so clear, so compelling, that it propelled him forward. Crucially, his wife believed in him too. It's often said that it takes two to make a dream a reality. Henry Ford, speaking of his mother-in-law, remarked that she was a fine woman because she believed in him. When two are in agreement, things happen. When you believe in yourself, others will believe in you. And when you believe in yourself and the power of God within you, fear and anxiety vanish. You establish a vibration of certainty. For the intuitive person, every move is made under divine guidance. They never second-guess a hunch, and consequently, they're always in the right place at the right time. However, it often takes courage to follow intuition. It requires a fearless Viking spirit to sail uncharted waters. Living intuitively is like living in the fourth dimension, a magical path leading you out of the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. It's invaluable in business. Never submit a hunch to someone on the plane of reasoning. Those who have ears to hear, let them listen to their intuition and obey instantly. God will give you whatever you ask for. This is true for everyone. But if we haven't received all the blessings of life, we've either neglected to ask or haven't asked correctly. The Bible teaches spiritual law. We must study and apply it from all angles to set in motion the grand machinery of asking and receiving. Like any machine, it needs lubrication to function smoothly. Active faith and expectancy keep the machine of asking and receiving in perfect working order. Here are some lubricants to keep it running smoothly. When you pray, believe that you have received it. Be anxious for nothing. Be still and know that I am God. Do not limit the Holy One of Israel. Realization is manifestation. Pray with praise and thanksgiving. Some people pray filled with anger and resentment. God is the supreme intelligence within each of us, and we are the channels for its expression. We must be non-resistant, serene, and peaceful, expecting our good to come to pass. We are the receivers. God is the giver. Therefore, God must create its own channels. Praying correctly is an art. God must have the right of way in its way, not yours. The moment you make your request, infinite intelligence knows the way to fulfill it. If you decide how your prayer will be answered, you've blocked the divinely designed channel. Then you might say, "My prayers are never answered." We must acquire a technique and send out a sincere desire, which is a prayer. We are free from all clutch or anxiety when we say, "If this is according to the divine plan, we will receive it. If not, give us its equivalent." We must be careful not to force anything that is not divinely planned. We must know that united with the power of God, nothing can defeat us. God's ways are ingenious, and its methods are sure. Two of the most beautiful psalms, the 23rd and the 121st, convey a sense of absolute security. They were written by a man who had experienced the workings of spiritual law. The God within protects and provides when fully trusted. Most people lose what they love most precisely because of the fear of losing it. They take all the precautions in the external world without entrusting protection to the eye that neither slumbers nor sleeps. Place what you love under the law of divine protection. The most important part of the demonstration is to show fearless faith. I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of brass and cut in sunder the bars of iron. The Bible mentions consciousness states, "These uncertainties, concerns, resentments, and gates of brass and iron are what you call them. They are entirely human inventions, the result of our conceited fantasies and belief in evil." There is a legend about a herd of wild elephants that are contained within a pen. The workers roped off the enclosure and drove pegs into the ground because they had no other way to contain them. The elephants believed they would be unable to escape. They thought the rope held them imprisoned, even though they could have simply walked over it. For people, the same holds true. They are unable to think clearly because of the rope of doubt and fear that surrounds their consciousness. A man with a compass knows where he's headed, and the same is true with clear vision. Your intuition will always lead you out of the woods if you use it as a compass. Even a man without a compass could navigate a ship at sea and find his way out of the jungle using only his intuition. You should follow your intuition and walk the tightrope. It's astonishing how people have overlooked their most important faculty, intuition. Its message or hint is always on man's path. Often our hints seem trivial and silly. A purely intellectual person would dismiss them immediately, but the student of truth always has their spiritual ear to the ground, knowing they're receiving orders from the infinite. The Bible often speaks of the still small voice. It's a voice that's not actual, though sometimes actual words register in the inner ear. When we ask for guidance and set aside the reasoning mind, we're tapping into the universal source of all knowledge, and everything we need to know will be revealed to us. Some people are naturally intuitive, so they're always in touch with universal intelligence. But by taking an affirmation, we make a conscious contact. Prayer is telephoning to God, and intuition is God contacting you. God calls on a lot of people, but they don't hear him because of their busy signal. When you're frustrated, irate, or bitter, your line is busy. "I couldn't see straight because I was so mad," is a phrase you've heard. "I couldn't hear straight because I was so mad," we may say. The voice of intuition gets muffled by your bad feelings. Making a proclamation of truth is the best way to emerge from the forest of hopelessness and limitations when you're feeling dejected, irate, or resentful. The name of the Lord shall deliver all who call upon it. There is a way out. Show me how to do this. Allowing infinite intelligence to handle the situation in its own way requires us to give up on organizing, strategizing, and planning. Silent, subtle, and unstoppable is God's might. It knows no loss and flattens the hills and valleys. It's up to us to follow our gut instincts and get ready for our gifts. As of right now, we yield to infinite intelligence. Chapter 8. Fear not, for faith conquers all. The Bible repeatedly exhorts people to overcome their fear. Fear is more than simply a feeling. It's our real enemy and the opposite of faith. Knowing that anything is possible for those who believe, even Jesus asked, "Why are you fearful, O ye of little faith?" We become invincible when we combine the power of God with our faith. One potent reminder of this is seen in the narrative of Jehoshaphat. He was up against an enormous army of enemies that would do him no favors. "Be not afraid nor dismayed by reason of this great multitude, for the battle is not yours but God's," the limitless voice urged him. It was said to Jehoshaphat and his people that they wouldn't even need to fight, but simply stand their ground and acknowledge God's deliverance. Jehoshaphat assigned singers to lead the army in songs of gratitude as they extolled the holiness of God. They discovered the enemy had been completely eliminated when they arrived at the wilderness lookout. God was the one fighting the battle, not them. This story speaks to our own lives. Our doubts, fears, criticisms, and resentments are our enemies. Each negative thought is a foe. We may feel outnumbered by adversity, but we must remember, the battle is not ours, but God's. Jehoshaphat marched forward with a declaration of praise, focusing not on the enemy or his own weakness, but on God's power. As he sang, God set ambushes against his enemies. When we declare the truth, our thoughts of fear are defeated and adversity fades away. The wilderness lookout symbolizes our fearless faith, our place of safety above all challenges. When we stand firm in this elevated state of consciousness, God's victory is assured. Jehoshaphat's people found abundant riches among the enemy's remains. When we let God fight our battles, great blessings emerge from adversity. Our inner divinity transforms curses into blessings. The divine spirit is pure intelligence, unhindered in its plans. Yet we often rush into battle, trying to control things ourselves, leading to defeat. We must learn to stand still, maintain our composure, and let infinite intelligence handle the situation. This doesn't mean passivity. We must face our challenges head-on, without fear. When we do, the lion in our path transforms into a harmless pup. Its power comes from our fear. Daniel's courage in the lion's den illustrates this. He focused not on the beasts, but on the spiritual light that protected him. The lions, subdued by this power, became docile. We all face lions daily, lack, limitation, fear, injustice. We must confront them directly, not run. Many lose what they cherish because they constantly fear losing it. True security comes from knowing that what we love is divinely protected. A mother who knew her 7 children were divinely safe let them play freely, unafraid. Like Daniel, she turned away from fear and let God handle the situation. Too many of us live in resentment and resistance, draining ourselves and those around us. We miss the joy of the present moment, the paradise of fearless living. To live fully is to use what we have without fear, knowing abundance lies behind us. Fearless faith and the spoken word unlock this supply. The power of words was known in ancient Egypt. The Bible says, "Behold, I make all things new." Our words can renew our minds, bodies, and circumstances. When fear is erased, we live magical lives. Like Jehoshaphat, we march forward singing praises, standing firm in our elevated consciousness, and witnessing God's salvation. At the heart of Christianity lies faith, a profound trust that anchors us to an unshakable sense of well-being. Even when surrounded by challenges, this unwavering faith imprints itself on our subconscious, paving the way for health, wealth, and happiness to manifest. An infinite invisible supply awaits each of us. Before we even ask, the answer is already there, ready to be unlocked by our faith and the words we speak. Jesus taught us this precise science. Consider the 1893 World's Fair. Edison's exhibit showcased a panorama of New York City illuminated at dusk. The guide explained, "The city is lit by the power of electricity, with the turn of a switch, the turn of a hand." Edison had faith in the laws of electricity. He knew its potential when harnessed and directed. After years of patient, loving work, he created the dynamo that brought this power to the world. Jesus taught us to harness and direct our thoughts. He understood the danger of fear, like uncontrolled electrical forces. Words and thoughts must be handled wisely. Our imagination is our workshop, and an imagination that runs wild, building images of fear, is like riding an untamed bronco. We've been raised in an era of doubt and fear, told the age of miracles is over and to expect the worst. Optimists were mocked. It was considered wise to eat the speckled apples first. But this mindset guarantees we'll never reach the good apples. They'll be speckled too by the time we get there. Imagine a world free from anxiety and worry. These twins enslave us and destroy our health, wealth, and happiness. The only way to break free from fear is to transmute it into faith. Jesus taught us to trust completely in the Father within who guides, protects, and provides. Jesus demonstrated this power repeatedly. He multiplied loaves and fishes, raised the dead, and even found money in a fish's mouth. He told his followers they would do even greater things. He was teaching a precise science, the science of the mind, the power of thought, and the spoken word. Faith imprints ideas on our subconscious, and the subconscious must bring them into reality. That's why Jesus said, "If you believe, all things are possible." How do we overcome anxiety, the opposite of faith? By facing what we fear. A man who lost everything, living in poverty, was afraid to spend his last few dollars. One morning, he felt a hunch to attend a horse show. It cost him everything, but he was drawn to the idea of being around successful people. At the show, he met an old friend who offered him a fantastic job. His hunch and fearless attitude toward money shifted him to a new vibration of success. Take leaps of faith, and you'll see marvelous returns. We marvel at circus performers' feats. They have faith in their abilities and visualize their success. Nothing can be accomplished without first seeing yourself doing it. These acts are about balance, and so are our success and happiness. And trusting in God is like walking a tightrope. Doubt and fear make us lose balance and fall into lack and limitation. Like the circus performer, we need practice. No matter how many times we falter, we must keep trying. Soon, we'll master the habit of balance, and the world will be ours. Circus performers seem to love their work, no matter how challenging. They've trained without music or applause. Rhythm, harmony, and balance are the keys to their success and happiness. In Philippians 4 we read, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication. With thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God." What a wonderful arrangement. We, free from worry and fear, ask with thanksgiving, and our good is granted. Chapter 9. The Power of Faith and Affirmation. Fulfillment and victory are two phrases that ring with potential. Upon realizing that our ideas and words possess a vibratory energy, we begin to carefully select them, much like creating a profoundly transformative crossword puzzle. The answer is unlocked with the correct word. We say negative things in our interactions far too frequently, such, "I'm broke," or "I'm sick." Keep in mind, by your words you are justified, and by your words you are condemned. Condemned since nothing constructive is produced by those remarks. You may alter the world by altering your words. Your world is what you say. We pay attention to what we eat. Healthy breakfast options are replacing calorie-dense ones in people's diets. Although it requires discipline, their goal is to achieve it. How about a positive word diet? In a literal sense, you are what you say. That is the affirmation's power. You are consciously constructing positive concepts in your mind. Some negative notions from infancy, such as that life is difficult, happiness is ephemeral, and the world is chilly, may be jumbled up in it. Your subconscious holds these concepts, which mold your experiences. But with truth, you can change that. Those external images are just that, images. They shift as your subconscious beliefs shift. When I talk about the power of words, people are surprised. Is it really that simple? Many prefer complexity. Perhaps that's why Jesus' simple teachings were obscured over time. People built creeds and ceremonies, missing the core message. Now, in the 21st century, those hidden truths are resurfacing. We're experiencing a revival of early Christianity. Ask, believe, and you shall receive. Our beliefs and expectations, imprinted on the subconscious, become reality. Ask without belief, and you won't receive. Faith creates expectancy. Jesus called this infinite intelligence we tap into the Heavenly Father, the Father within. He described a loving parent, eager to shower us with good things. Little flock, do not be afraid. Your Father is pleased to give you the kingdom. God's law is selfless love and kindness, expressed as love thy neighbor as thyself. Treat people the way you want to be treated. A short circuit is created by breaking this law. The transgressor's path is difficult. God's law is unchangeable. Divine concepts are unchangeable. I once saw a woman who was plagued by terror. Even if her dream came true, she was afraid something would sabotage it. I said to her, "In the divine mind, the divine plan for your life is a beautiful notion that is incorruptible and unbreakable. It can't be ruined." A weight was taken off of her. For the first time in years, she felt exhilaration and freedom. Knowing the truth brings a sense of freedom that leads to actual freedom in your external world. When you speak the word, this supreme intelligence awaits your direction. But it needs right of way. Don't limit divine activity. Divine activity in your body brings health. There's only one disease, congestion, and one cure, circulation. Stagnation is the problem. A new idea gets you out of the rut of negative thinking. Enthusiasm means to be inspired or possessed by a god. It's a divine fire that ignites others. To be a good salesperson, you must be excited about what you sell. If you're bored or disinterested, the fire goes out and no one else will be interested either. A woman with an empty store came to me. I told her, "It's no use feeling the way you do. You're pushing people away. Get excited about what you sell and about yourself. Get excited about the power of God within you. Open your store early, ready for a crowd." She did, and people were waiting outside. They kept coming all day. People often say, "Treat my business." I say, "No, I'll treat you because you are your business." Your thoughts permeate everything you sell and every condition related to it. Jesus was divinely enthusiastic about his message. He was excited about faith and told people they could have anything they asked for in his name. It was a message of asking and receiving. He taught them how to fulfill spiritual law. Ask, believe, and you shall receive. When you pray, believe you already have it. Why are you fearful, O ye of little faith? After 2,000 years, his divine fire is rekindling. We're witnessing a Christian renaissance, a rebirth of his teachings. He taught a universal principle without creed or ceremony. People of all faiths are drawn to this truth movement. It doesn't pull them away from their churches. Many clergy are now teaching these ideas. Jesus was the greatest metaphysician because he proved his principles and performed miracles. His message survived for 300 years, then the divine fire dimmed. Creed and ceremony took over. Now, people flock to centers of truth, seeking healing, blessings, and prosperity. They've learned to pray correctly and have a faith that understands. A mother's fervent prayer protected her son from a flood, a testament to the power of faith in action. The Psalms urge us to lift our consciousness, open the gates of our minds, and let the King of Glory enter. This inner King empowers us to overcome challenges and live a life of abundance. Yet doubt and fear can keep those gates closed. One woman, anxious about attending a reunion, manifested a debilitating headache. Her negativity almost robbed her of a joyful experience. But through faith and a shift in her words, she experienced a miraculous recovery. Remember, your words have power. They can either limit you or set you free. True enthusiasm is contagious. It's about being passionate about something, whether it's a new hobby, a cause you believe in, or simply your own personal growth. This positive energy draws others in and enriches your own life. Sadly, many people lack this vital spark. They're consumed by gossip and the lives of others, neglecting their own potential. This idle curiosity leads to unhappiness and missed opportunities. Instead, focus on your own journey. Embrace your setbacks and transform them into stepping stones. Turn failures into triumphs, unforgiveness into compassion, and injustice into a catalyst for positive change. When you're fully engaged in creating your best life, you won't have time to dwell on the affairs of others. Jesus inspired the masses with his miracles and unwavering faith. He showed us that with divine enthusiasm, anything is possible. So, let's bless what we have and watch it multiply. Let's open the gates of our minds and hearts, and let the King of Glory reign within us.